So I realized what the issue was. It was I needed to restart my computer. But that's not why I'm live right now. I'm live because I'm just kind of sick of the dumb shit that's going on. Um, we voted for our current administration for a couple specific purposes. Um, one, to clean out our federal government. Two, to clean off our streets, whether it's criminals illegally entering the country, criminals that are already here. We voted for the heavy hand of that, getting our country back into uh, progressing forward, not being progressive, but progressing forward. So the one reason why I even kind of like, wanted to to say all this live to the world and anybody that hears it is because it's getting ignorant. I don't care about the ice raids. From what I see, they're doing what the majority of this country asked for them to do. They're cleaning off the streets from of illegal immigrants, which somehow I've not seen any homeless immigrants, which is weird because they moved to this country illegally and with no possessions. But somehow our veterans that are living on the streets who were born here have no home or possessions. But I don't care. I literally don't. I don't give a shit. ICE is doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're getting illegal immigrants out of the country so that we can go back to securing our borders and allowing people in here that actually bring value to the country. Because bringing someone in to work a $40,000 a year job is not okay. I don't give a damn. We have American citizens in this country that could work those $40,000 a year jobs. So if you want to bring somebody in, they better be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. There should be no such thing as ushering $40,000 a year employees into this country. No, not at all. We have more than enough people in this country that could work that $40,000 a year job. So I don't agree with that. I don't agree with ushering in, quote unquote, the best of the best that somehow aren't the best of the best. They're just basically our average American citizen, which we have millions of them. Out of 350 million people that live in this country, about 150 million of them are of working age and capabilities. But yet we have a very big percentage of that aren't being pushed back into the workforce. They're being allowed to siphon off welfare systems. And then on top of that, you add in illegal immigrants that are also somehow able to eat into that system. Again, I don't give a shit about that. I really don't. Because the problem isn't that. And I really don't give a damn about the National Guard being sent into the cities to stop gang crime. Because unfortunately, the local government has failed you all. The local government has failed your cities, has failed your states. And they should be the ones held accountable. You should be rioting on their front lawns of their houses and their government buildings because they're the ones failing you. Not the National Guard that are being sent in because these local governments are purposely driving their cities and states into the ground. Just like other people have said, they're doing it purposely to, in a roundabout way, prove that Donald Trump and his administration isn't capable of doing their job. That's why they're doing it. That's why they're letting these cities go to hell. It's because they're purposely trying to prove a point that the current administration sucks. They suck so bad. Look at all the crime in the cities. They're failing. But no, that reflects poorly on you, city officials, mayors, governors, state officials. It reflects poorly on you. And if you can say, well, I'm in a district that doesn't have much crime, that also reflects poorly on you because you're all part of that state. Just because you're in a district that isn't affected by crime doesn't mean your fucking state isn't affected by crime. Stop keeping yourselves condensed to your little fucking district. Because just that little district isn't on its own little island. It's actually part of the greater fucking state that exists. So you need to stop with your, my district, there's no problems in my district. There's no problems in my. There is a fucking problem in your district. You are the problem in your district. If you don't take fucking charge and help your state, using the excuse that, well, my district is fine, then you need put out. You need put to the fucking the unemployment line because you're part of the problem. You're part of the problem. So these city officials, these state officials, you're lucky you're not fired and then investigated for even the simplest of things, and that's derelict of duty, because that's what you're doing. You're purposely not doing your job because of your opinion. As a soldier, you would actually be tried in court. UCMJ would cuff you up. If you were in the military, we would just say that. If all of you politicians actually had to serve in the military, you would realize 99% of what you're doing would put you in a brig, would put you in Leavenworth for a long ass time. Just put that in perspective. If you were held under UCMJ law, like a soldier is, a lot of what y'all do would put you in prison for a long ass time. So just be lucky you got this corrupted civilian judicial system to game and work. Because UCMJ would fucking hang you. Which you should be. You should be held under UCMJ law because you're part of the United States, the greater of the United States, the federal government of the United States. And how you all get around being held liable under UCMJ action just because, well, we're not part of the military. Well, you should. You should be part of the military because you all make decisions of the greater country. And what is the purpose of the military? To protect outside and inside of the greater country. The military isn't used as a force to throw down the street at your enemy. No. The military is used to protect against people trying to come in and protect from people inside trying to muck it all up. That's what the military's for. It's not for conquesting. It's not for going down and waging war against suspected drug cartel people. Oh, well, they were on a suspected drug route. Oh, how do I not see them as drug cartel? They're on a suspected drug route, even though that's the only water they can get to because they don't have any money or transportation ability to go across their country to the other side of the water where they're not going to get blown up. You see how that looks bad? You're expecting people in a country that don't have the same values, principles, or even society as we have to change their entire life to suit how we view everything? No, that's not okay. That's not okay. We should not be doing any of that. We should not be blowing up a fucking boat in some suspected drug territory. Do you have evidence that those were drug boats? You don't? Oh, that's right. You're suspected Well, that's all we need. Suspicion. You're on a no drug trade route. You're coming from a no drug place. You're on a boat that's suspected for drugs. No, this is not okay. We are not, and we should not be fucking waging war on random fucking people and places across the world. What we should be doing is putting soldiers up along the lines of this fucking country, testing the cartels to come in here, testing them to send their people in here. Because yes, then you can gun them down. But even then, you can't just straight up fucking gun them down and blow them the fuck up because where's your fucking evidence? How are you going to gather evidence that they were actually transporting anything illegal when you blew it to fucking smithereens? Because the only thing you're going to find when you test shit is bomb material, explosive material. Because it's done polluted every fucking thing. So you can't tell me that what y'all are fucking doing is legal. It is whole ass illegal. And as a matter of fact, I asked ChatGPT about it. And yes, I pay $20 fucking a month for the motherfucker to get shit right. Unfortunately, that's about the only subscription I will agree to pay. And that's because free shit ain't free. You're the product. Somebody said that, and that's the most genius shit I ever heard. If it's free, you're the product. So I pay for it. I'll pay for the shit. Just to not be made the product. I'll make sure it's producing. Because then they're actually legally bound. There's a transaction happening, and then you accept those terms of service. Yeah, they can write in what they want, but they're also legally bound by all the shit that's in it. So if you pay them money, they can't just wholeheartedly lie to you and then write it into their system that, oh, we can lie to you. You pay us money to. See? No. Trust me, it would be fucking outed as the first fucking thing. So yeah, I pay $20 a month to ask, and I asked ChatGPT about this whole bombing of boats in a suspected drug lane in international waters. I asked it very pinpointed questions. So I'm going to go through the first thing I'm talking about first, because it kind of goes into it. Because, I don't give a fuck about these No Kings protests. Donald Trump isn't a monarch, and if you stupid, retarded motherfuckers actually knew what monarchies are and how they run and how that system fucking works, you would feel dumber than the protests you're participating in. Just fucking clarify shit before you start, no kings. You're retarded. And I don't give a shit about them. It's just another frivolous attempt by a failing idiotic progressive side of politics and the moronic conservative side that's willing to fight back and forth with this stupid shit. That's all it is. This is a frivolous attempt to keep stupid ideologies, agendas, and policies going. That's it. Full stop. No kings. It's stupid. Y'all need to go get a job and fucking do something useful. Because you're out here protesting while a $40,000 a year fucking person is being moved into the country to work the job you should be fucking working. But no, you don't want no kings. Kings aren't elected, but somehow we elected a king. I think you're fucking retarded. It pisses me the fuck off how stupid people are. What I do care, though, I do care about the fucking Epstein files. And why I care so fucking much about those fucking files is that if those files were to ever come out, it would gut not just the American political system, it would gut every major political system across the fucking world. Across the fucking world. And that is I don't have to know, but I know. As Candace Owens always says. I don't know, but I know, you know? So it's like, but the bad thing about that is if the Epstein files do come out, it lays waste. It fucking lays waste to our entire political system, which opens up such a massive power vacuum that if you think Nancy Pelosi and Schumer and Schmidt and fucking Biden and all these people, Ted Cruz's, if you think Ted Cruz is bad, drop the Epstein files, gut the political system, and watch that power vacuum eat this country alive. That power vacuum alone will eat this country alive. People like Elon Musk will take it upon themselves to straight up snatch those seats. And dictatorships don't happen because of a failed government. Dictatorships happen because the people running the government are afraid that the government is going to fail. The people that run the government, us, and the other people, the other politicians, we run this government. And us being afraid that it's going to fail will elect in our dictator. Donald Trump is not a dictator. That turd, along with his turd folk, they're just bought and paid for like the fucking progressives are. These political commentators are just that. They're political commentators, political actors. They're all bad at it. They're all really bad at it. And they're getting to the point where they're so old, even their tricks are showing their age. Like, we're on to digital age tricks, and they're still using analog tricks. So, still playing this one side's better than the other. Both users are retarded. I said that back during the 2020 election, and that around that time is when I got actually banned on TikTok because I didn't say anything political beside the point that I put up a graphic with the donkey and the elephant, and I said, here's what I have to say about politics. And I said, they're both dumb. And I put dunce caps on both of them because they are. Believing that one side is going to save you over the other is its own fallacy, in my opinion. It's its own fallacy. Because neither of those sides' ideas and agendas and plans are for saving people. They're not for helping people, saving people. They're for self-serving interests. That's it. Straight up self-serving interests. Politicians are self-serving. They don't care about anybody. They don't even care about their family. Put it this way. Yes, they say, well, I'm building a future for my family and my kids, but they really don't care. Because if they did what they do now, knowing that it has an effect on the future, would be worked a lot better. They would be doing a lot more humanitarian type stuff. They wouldn't be attempting to drive the poverty class so deep into the ground that they're just starving to death at an alarming rate, or committing suicide at an alarming rate, or just their lives are ending at a ridiculously alarming rate. Because that's kind of what I see. I see prices and everything is being shot up so fast, and wages aren't keeping up to track because of that. They're trying to inadvertently, and with as much plausible deniability as possible, because the plausible deniability is right there. Well, we don't have control over prices. We can't tell the Federal Reserve to stop this. We can't do it. We have no control. We don't have power. But then we see them exerting all of this power everywhere. They're like fucking jizzing it out everywhere. But yet they don't have power to shut down a bank that's not actually a bank, and it's not actually an entity that has power. They don't have. Federal Reserve has zero power, has zero say, zero anything. Yet a government who says that they don't have power but has power to do all this other stuff, but doesn't have power to shut down something that is known, is with evidence over the last almost 100 years. They have known to be criminals. The Federal Reserve and all the people that work there and that are part of that entity, they all know they're criminals, which is why they fight so heavily against being shut down. They could be shut down, and every bit of them can be parsed out somewhere else, and we can go back to an actual country that actually has a currency system that's decentralized. Like, I don't understand why we need a centralized currency. And again, it goes back into what I was saying. All of this is purposely being set up and done so that the poverty, the mostly impoverished part of this society, they just naturally start dying. I mean, you can't get food, you starve to death. You can't get water, you dehydrate and you die of dehydration. Like, if you keep putting up more and more barriers that separate people from being able to get what they need, people will inadvertently start dying. Like, it's just cause and effect, and that's what they're doing. They can't just stop people from being able to go and buy food. They can't just say, well, this food isn't for poor people. If you don't make this much money a year, you can't buy this food. You can't shop in this store. You can't do. They don't have to do that. They don't have to discriminate, like, right to your face. They can discriminate with pricing, discriminate with a store being so expensive they know for a fact nobody making less than $100,000 a year is going to shop regularly at this store. Yeah, they might get one or two folk over there, but they know that that's going to be during tax time when all they're going to do is just make a bunch of money back that they've spent over the year. And then that's when you'll see people's advertising budgets exploding. And that's when you'll start seeing shareholders making record profits over record profits. Like, this is what the society is being stacked on. We're being stacked on top of the extremely impoverished class to involuntarily smother them. This is why inflation and pricing is doing what it's doing with wages not moving at all. This is why. Bill Gates type shit. This is population control. I don't care what anybody says. Prove to me that this isn't population control. Because that's what I see. When I see a large part of the population taking a massive hit on things like being able to afford stuff, and then you see in that massive part of the population the different layers of it, because you have the extremely impoverished that are like so close to homelessness, they're one missed bill away from homelessness type impoverished. Now, see, the homeless people who are that impoverished, that are in homelessness and vagrancy and panhandling, that's where the society has already failed those people. And I'm not talking about the drug addicts that happened on the streets because of bad choices with drugs. And even then, there's there's a reason that person ended up on drugs. You can't just say somebody woke up one day and chose heroin. You know what? Tomorrow I'm gonna do heroin. Next day I'm gonna do harder shit. That's not how it works. That's not how addiction actually works. I don't believe it's something that can be boiled down to it's a disease. No, I believe that it's a compounding of choices based on history, based on someone's personal history. Like, it's that's how I see it. I see it as it's a mentally stunting based on the history of the single individual, because there are drug addicts who fall prey to addiction but then get themselves out and don't take up another addiction. They don't go right back into the same addiction. They don't take up religion as a placeholder addiction. They don't switch addictions to something else. They realize what was keeping them in that addiction, that phase of addiction, and they got themselves out of it. Now there's people that can't do that. But again, this is what this government is doing. They pump drugs into our streets, make us stupid, make us poor, make us rely on a system. And then when they realize they can't get any more out of us, they smother us out. And then when they realize on the other side that, oh, there are some people that we can still wring out, they wring you out. And then when they're done wringing you out, they finish out pushing you out. And it's all made to garner in a to them, more prosperous society. Because if they kill all the mostly impoverished, that leaves room and housing and space for even more people who will possibly have more. You can keep this oil smushing going on, keep creating layers of human beings that we're just smashing out and pressing for oil. To me, that's what I see in society. That's of over 40 years of existence, almost 40 years of existence. This is what I've come to see. This is how I see society. And I mean, it's not good. I mean, it's not positive. I used to like have a lot of inspiration or a lot of hope and gain a lot of inspiration from people. Now the only inspiration I gain is to to tell people like what is going on? Why are we failing so hard? Why are we doing this stupid shit so often? Why are we allowing dumb people to dictate any and everything we do? Why? And how? This shit has to stop. We have to pull this shit back and stop. Because yes, a lot of it's happening in the United States, and Canadians who say, "Well, fuck you, Americans. You tariffed us. Well, fuck you." Okay, what does that do for anybody? Nothing. Nothing at all. Because in my opinion, the people who argue against something like a tariff, you haven't done any research. Because I know what, when, where, why, and how the tariffs happened in every instance. Now, I can't explain to you the people who enacted it. I can't explain to you their ideology on what they see and why they make the tariffs what they make it. But I can tell you that not charging some type of import tax when we, the United States, is wholeheartedly everywhere else charged import tax. Like we are charged a lot of money to get our stuff to other countries. Other countries make tons of fucking money from our taxpayers because it's not our government that's paying those bills. It's the American tax system that's paying those bills when we send stuff to you. When we export things to your import stations, we pay money to do that. You might pay money for the products, but we pay money to send it there. We're paying you every time. Then your citizens come here, make a bunch of money, and just wire it out, send it out with no, like, literally, there's like almost zero taxing on any of that. None. Money leaving this country is one of the biggest problems. And I will go out and say that is what we actually voted for. To stop this constant and consistent hay bales of money leaving this country with no return. Where's our ROI? Where's our return on investment? Because if you're sending my tax dollars off to a random country, that country should be offering us something in return. Well, that's not right. You can't tell everybody they got to buy. No, that is exactly. If the United States is its own business, then every other country is a customer. You're a fucking customer of our business. You want our imports? Okay. How much are you willing to pay? You want stuff from us? How much are you willing to pay for it? How much value do you place on what we offer? Because that's what I see. The United States of America offers so much value to other countries around the world. Other countries have gotten away with robbing us blind, using us as a hammer to smack in the face of their enemies. You've wielded us like a sword. You've picked us clean, and then you want more all the time. That's one of the things that I actually voted for. To stop sending my money to some foreign nation. And it also means I don't, just because I don't want you to send my money to Israel for their war, to Ukraine for their war, to anywhere else for their war, doesn't mean I want you to wage war on the ghetto or on the cartel, because I didn't ask for those wars either. I asked for you to get the people out of the country that don't belong here and stop empowering rich people to rob us. Those two things you all have like literally done the opposite of. I mean, granted, can't say that the ICE thing isn't taking care of some of the illegal immigration problems. It is, but the fact that I can still walk outside my door and point to things that say, why would somebody do that? Is it working? I don't think so. So again, I do care about the Epstein files, but the bad thing is the moment those hit the light, this we better have people ready to take up some seats because it'll gut the entire political system, and the power vacuum will be devastating and could eat this country alive. But again, like I said before, one of the biggest things that I do care about is the fact that we've waged war on organizations that you can't just snuff out instantly. You can't go in and kill their leader and that's it. These organizations are cockroaches that are also an STD that you can't cure. So for POTUS and his administration to just be out there bombing boats on international waters because of they're saying that they're suspected drug dealers and suspected traffickers, like that. How do I know that? Well, we got the evidence. What evidence? You have not presented a single bit of evidence before you. I literally went to sleep last night. Nobody being bombed out in the water. Wake up this morning, boats are being bombed out in the water. Same thing last week. Go to sleep, nobody's being bombed out. Wake up, boats are being bombed out in the water. Literally zero, like zero evidence. Like, well, how am I going to give you? Why am I going to give some secrets away of saying that these are bad people? Well, yeah, that's how the justice system in this country works. Because, like I said, I asked ChatGPT around it. At first, it was going to kind of argue that no, it's legal. It's legal for them to just go and bomb out people in the water. And then I got into the more meat and potatoes of it. So I'm going to pull that up here. So the final thing that I do care about, and literally the most important thing I do care about, is the fact that every single one of our politicians is worried solely about foreign policy. I don't understand why, and I would love to know why your foreign policy is so much more important than your domestic policy. Because I mean, foreigners don't keep you in office. They're not the ones that keep blindly voting for you. Well, granted, the people that are also keeping you in the office are the people that live in areas that don't ever have to worry about the stuff that 90% of us do worry about. Like these people, the people that actually make the decisions of this country, they don't want for nothing. They have any and everything they could ever ask for. They'll all argue, "Whoa, I worked hard. My family's worked hard." Did they though? Did they? Because I see a lot of families that work every day of the week, sun up to sundown, and I've watched them from my nearly my entire existence. I've watched these people work themselves to nothing, and then they can't retire because their retirement isn't going to get them through to the end of their life because they would end up having to go back to work. But then I see people out here who come from rich and wealthy families that are just like laughing and memeing the rest of us. They're like buying $100,000 cars and just crashing them into shit and racing them. They're buying like $300 worth of groceries and purposely making a meal that they know that not a single person on earth would even take a whiff of, let alone ingest. But yet it's okay. It's okay. And that's why I say that I don't care what you say. Political leaders don't even care about their own children in this regard because these are the same people. Political leaders, celebrities, they have these kids that are overly brainwashed in ignorance. They come out and talking dumb shit, going to the UN, talking about uh, transgender rights as if it's a United Nations problem. Like it's it's ignorance. It's the fact that we have a large portion of this population is brainwashed by ignorance, and it's allowed to keep going every day, and it's put into the forefront. It's glorified. They're like rewarding it, making it as if this is the greatest thing somebody could do. This is a powerful person, so empowered. But all they're doing is talking ignorance. They're talking to a panel of people who only care about how their country is going to survive, with countries like Israel just throwing their weight around, using the United States military as their weight. I mean, it's like Middle Eastern countries that just can't agree to disagree with one another and just want to bomb each other out of existence. While their leaders that are doing this. Your Muslim religion doesn't agree with my Muslim religion, so I'm going to bomb you into Netherlands. It doesn't make sense to me. Why are we bombing each other out of existence? Like, literally, every single religion, in my opinion, you're all right and you're all wrong. You're all wrong because you think you're all different. You're all right because you all know you're not different. You're not different. All of your religions are just different layers of time. That's it. That's the only difference in you. They just happened in different layers of time. And you can't tell me, well, no, that is not true. My religion's existed. It says in my books. It says in my books. But your books have been rewritten how many times? By how many people? Over how many centuries? You can't tell me that your religion is better and more right than anybody else's religion or even their belief. You can't tell someone that their belief is wrong. It's what they believe. Like something has got them there to that point. You can disagree with what they believe, but you can't tell them their belief is wrong. And as a matter of fact, I would stand there and watch them as they grew increasingly angry and agitated by someone telling them that their belief is wrong. Because it's not their job to prove to you what they believe is right. It's your job to prove to them why you believe that their belief is wrong. So this whole fighting over belief systems, again, is ignorant to me. It's friggin' ignorant. Because if we actually paid attention to what we're supposed to be paying attention to, like, we wouldn't have random boats with no evidence of actually committing a crime being blown out of the water. We wouldn't have our politicians sending all of our money to a foreign nation so that foreign nation can attack another nation because they believe that they're encroaching on their life. Like we voted for America first, and so far, what I'm seeing is America dead ass last. Like I said, I wanted to pull up ChatGPT to show the conversation I just had with it. Like I said, it's this right here. So this is, like I said, it's a couple parts. First thing I asked, is it legal, even internationally, for someone to say, "Oh, a suspected drug trafficker," and bomb their boat, and then bomb their boat? The short answer was it's not legal. Whether the attacker is private person or a state blowing up someone's boat because they think they're a drug trafficker would almost always be unlawful and criminal. And here's the why. Key points: private individuals bombing a boat is ordinarily criminal conduct: murder, attempted murder, arson, terrorism, blah, blah, blah. The narrow legal defense of self defense applies only to an immediate, proportionate threat to life or limb, not premeditated strikes because someone is suspected of a crime. That right there, the first fucking thing it says is no. Because you suspected them of being drug traffickers doesn't give you the right to just bomb them. Then it kind of goes into the states, use of force between states, blah, 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 international law. This kind of gets into a little bit of a gray area because it says a state cannot lawfully bomb a vessel in another state's territory or on high seas without either A, the flag state's consent, an applicable treaty basis, or a lawful self defense justification that meets eminence and necessity standards. ICJ case law reinforces strict limits on cross border use of force. So that right there says that it's possible that it's legal, but so far it's still looking illegal. At sea jurisdiction limits under the law of the sea, ships generally fall under jurisdiction of their flag state. So unless the place in which those vessels were leaving said those are drug traffickers, you can't just go and say, "Oh, I suspect they're drug traffickers." Other states' enforcement actions on high seas are tightly circumscribed. Exceptions exist: stateless vessels, a cooperation, consent, and some treaty frameworks for drug interdiction. Like basically saying you're working with another country to say, please watch this area because we know that drug traffickers leave it. We just haven't been able to identify and capture it. So if you help us in this area, whatever you find, you can act upon as if you were us. That does not give private actors any license to use violence. Again, this does not give the United States authority to just straight up attack boats in the fucking water. And then you get to the human rights part of it, extra legal killings, because that right there is what it will be looked at as extra legal killings. International human rights laws forbid arbitrary deprivation of life. Extrajudicial killings are unlawful and can trigger criminal and international responsibility. Even state lethal force must satisfy legality, necessity, and proportionality and be scrutinized under human rights standards. So again, and it goes into the real world example. I gave it a real world example. Well, the United States and Pete Hegseth is saying that a boat and boats that are taking suspected drug routes and coming from places that are suspected drug traffickers are evidence enough for any boat to be bombed in the water because they just did it 14 hours ago to a boat they suspected of being a drug trafficking boat. And then it kind of goes into a little bit of a, oh, I'm in a gray area myself real quick. Because it comes right here. You are correct that Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump, U.S. administration has publicly claimed that the strikes on suspected drug trafficking vessels are legal and justified. For example, and then it goes into examples of the most recent. I don't think it. The U.S. military conducted a strike on vessels near Venezuela, claiming to be carrying large quantities of narcotics and affiliated with a designated terrorist organization. I mean, it says right here, conducted a strike on a vessel near Venezuela, claimed to be carrying. And then it says, Hegseth stated the U.S. has the absolute and complete authority to undertake such strikes in defense of America's at risk from drug traffic. The administration's public messaging frames the war on drugs as a kind of armed conflict and the targets as narco-terrorists. And the reason why this is big, this is important to me because we've seen the war on drugs. They're doing it purposely. They waged war, an active declaration of war, because they know from the past that this war on drugs will last years, if not decades, because we've seen it happen. We've seen it going on through the 80s and the 90s when after they pumped a bunch of LSD into the streets and created a bunch of Charles Mansons and a bunch of other psychopaths using drugs. Then they decided to wage war against it. That went from the 80s, 90s, and to be honest, I haven't heard it end. So this is just an extra declaration to bring in a new war front. Because now they can just go out and bomb boats on the water, bomb neighborhoods in random countries in Central America and South America. The war on drugs domestically was just that. It was just a domestic war on poor people because they were doing the things that the government was pushing onto them because they had no other choice and nothing else to do. I mean, yeah, if you know that you're throughout your whole entire life, it will take your whole entire life to do something as simple as take a vacation, and your whole life you've been abused, and all you've seen is many types of assaults and abuse. You're probably going to go into drugs because the government pumps it on the streets and says, "Oh, you can't afford therapy? Here you go, smoke this crack. You won't have to worry about nothing," and you become a crackhead. Because that's the only therapy that exists for poor people. Drugs. Poor people can't go to therapy. Poor people get drugs. That's therapy for poor people. Drugs and AA meetings. Like I said, POTUS knows. POTUS and his administration know that this war on drugs and the drug cartels is going to go on for decades, and they'll make sure to push it for decades. Like that's the whole point. That's why they're going so heavily at it, is as a way of showing like, look, we're doing something. But then the eyes are going to pull off of it, but their reign of terror is not. It's going to stay there, and they're just going to keep. We need more tax dollars. We need more tax dollars. We almost got them gone. We need more tax dollars. Keep throwing tax dollars at us. And so it's going to forever go and go and go and go. They don't need to wage war on anywhere in the Middle East anymore. They don't need to really get involved in anybody's wars anymore. They could just say, look, we were able to wage war on the drug cartels, and they allowed us to do it for 30 years. So why don't we just do it again? We just forever. Just usher in the new drug cartel war wagers. But at the same time, we've got to make sure we protect our investments. So once we take out a drug cartel, we're going to install our own drug cartel, and then we're just going to play this cat and mouse game. So yeah, and like I said, then I asked that kind of goes into this. However, and this is very important, many legal experts and international observers and foreign governments dispute legality of these actions under domestic U.S. law and especially under international law. In short, the administration's claim may represent its policy position, but does not mean the actions are clearly legal under international law. So it's even telling you that what they're doing it in a way that they're skirting a law. They're skirting the international maritime laws and shit like that. They're designating them as narco terrorists. I mean, why didn't they designate them that back forever ago when they started pumping drugs into the country around Vietnam and shit like that? They could have easily done it then, stopped it all, cut it all short then. But no, it's narco terrorists. So yeah, and like I said, this is part of the problem. And then as I was reading through here, it made me fucking irritated because this doesn't tell me that there's a justification for doing what they're doing to people in international water. So then I said this. So you're saying it's legal for them to just bomb out those boats that they suspect to be drug traffickers rather than taking them into custody and making for certain that they're actually drug traffickers or people traffickers or doing anything illegal in general. Just straight up bombing a boat in waters you claim to be routes for drug and people traffickers is not okay. And I don't give a fuck. No government around the world should be okay with that and say, oh, yeah, well, it's our war on drug cartels. And we didn't fucking agree to that. The people in the United States did not agree to blow up fucking random boats in the water that our government seems, thinks, hopes, wishes, and prays that they're criminals. Now, it doesn't get to work like that. And yeah, yes, all of you get to be looked at as war criminals because you decided to wage war that we didn't ask for. And we told you specifically not to be waging. We told you not to wage any fucking wars on anybody. We told you to stop sending our fucking money to war. We told you to stop sending our people to fucking war. But what did you do? You fucking in turn said we're going to wage war on drug cartels. And now how about you fucking stop allowing people to just fucking nilly-willy into the fucking country? Put back in place all the fucking stuff that stops criminals from being able to get into here. They said, I said that. It says, you're right to be furious. You're also right about the law. States don't have a blank check to blow up any vessel they merely suspect of wrongdoing. What the U.S. administration says it can do is not the same thing as what international law actually permits. And then it breaks it down. Private actors, totally illegal. If anyone who isn't a state bombs a boat, that's murder. Terrorism, assault, full stop. No citation needed for that obvious point. Then for states, use of lethal force is tightly limited, meaning the UN Charter prohibits the use of force except for Security Council authorization, lawful self-defense after an armed attack, with strict tests for imminence, necessity, and proportionality, like they were saying earlier. A mere suspicion of narcotics trafficking almost never meets that test. So why does it meet it now? Why does it meet it now? Ships are generally under their flag state's jurisdiction. On the high seas, the flag state normally has exclusive jurisdiction. Other states may only take enforcement action in narrow, treaty-based exceptions or with consent. That's why bombing a vessel because it's on a suspected route is legally fraud. Human rights and criminal law concerns. Many experts call these strikes unlawful, as they fucking should. And I'm sorry, I will disagree with Asmongold on this. The fucking water, the high seas, international maritime, being in our continental waters, that does not give anybody the fucking right to just blow up any fucking boat they want. So I'll disagree with Asmon. And this is part of why I came into talking about it myself. Because Asmon, who only has an outside viewpoint of military systems and how the military works, he worked for the IRS. There's nowhere near or remotely near knowledge of how military works and how rules of engagement, how all that shit works and should work. There is no such thing as a country that should have free reign to bomb a suspected anybody from anywhere. Now, if they step foot into our fucking country, on our waters, on our land, and they're sitting there and they're carrying the drugs over their fucking head, yeah, blow their fucking ass to fucking smithereens. Blow them up. Because I can see, there's those, they're carrying drugs and weapons and people. Well, how do you know they're not keeping the people off the ground? Because the ground's hot. Because those people are bound and tied. And the guns are in fucking boxes, like as if, like they're being concealed and hidden. Like from what I see on that boat, I saw the footage. I saw the fucking footage. The bomb, I saw the fucking footage. The top side of that boat looked like it had barrels. Looked like it only fucking had barrels. Let me find. Can't remember. I'm trying to think of what his title was. I think this one. I'll know by my comment.
If you're struggling to make minimum payments on your cards, this could
Nope,
help.
I don't have a comment.
$20,000 on my cards. How fast can
That might not be the right one. Yeah, right here it is. They tried to see again.
She wants to see Congress more involved.
Just saying that doesn't mean shit to me. Just sitting here saying the fight against narco terrorists. I don't know that they're terrorists. So yeah, and this is what he's saying. Like, this is the footage. I don't know why my sound isn't working on this video.
The president is right to be attacking in terms of the ships that are bringing these deadly substances and killing American citizens daily. And so I support that. Any extension beyond that, I think Congress needs to be a part of that.
I don't know why.
Now, not all Republicans feel the same way, and certainly most Democrats. Here's Senator Rand Paul earlier.
You have to accuse them of something. You have to present evidence. So all of these people have been blown up without us knowing their name, without any evidence of a crime. So if our policy now is to blow up every ship we suspect or accuse of drug running, that would be a bizarre world in which 25% of the people might be innocent.
Here's why I
think I can guarantee you it's going to come out of my speakers if I turn
is that Maduro's come to the table
so much. It didn't even come out of there.
If Trump has not been able to do this with extreme effectiveness, then why is the guy running the country immediately coming to the table, recording messages in English for him?
Sound settings.
Probably because it's working. Again, think about it like this, right? This is what I've said before. Listen less to what people say and listen more to what people do. He didn't want to die? Yeah.
After Israeli forces launched airstrikes in the Gaza Strip earlier after accusing Hamas of violating the ceasefire, President Trump told our own Maria Bartiromo he thinks Hamas will be disarmed.
Well, they promised they would. They said they would. It's down that they would. Now, they said they were gang members, etc.
So they're still blowing up these boats?
Another lethal blow against suspected drug traffickers. Secretary of Fox News Live.
They're just going in on it again.
Secretary of War.
So they're still blowing up these boats?
Another lethal blow against suspected drug traffickers. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth says the United States has conducted another strike in the Caribbean. Hello and welcome to a second hour of
Is it working? There it is. I don't know how long my mic went out. But again, it boils down to our government shouldn't be doing this. I'd be more inclined to believe Hamas because Israel, for the last how many ever years since 1948, has done everything they can to prove that they are not our greatest ally and more or less our greatest abuser, our greatest exploiter, and potentially could be our worst enemy, depending on how bad the shit is that they've been doing for all this time. Because remember, 1948, Bibi Netanyahu took power in 1948, and when he took power, a lot of shady shit happened. His first thing is his opponent died. I'm not gonna say I think they said he was assassinated. I think he was assassinated. Well, he was assassinated. He died. Whatever. Bibi Netanyahu's opponent back in 1948, he died. I'm just gonna say that he died. And from there, Netanyahu's support, like I think the exact quote was, the support for Bibi Netanyahu is like it went from 0 to 100 overnight. It's not the exact quote, it's kind of paraphrasing, but that's basically what it is. Netanyahu had no support whatsoever. He had no what I will quote is he basically had no shot in hell at winning. But then his opponent died. And that negative support became overwhelming support overnight. And with it, he won. He won, took control of Israel, and the country hasn't looked back since. That's what I know about Bibi Netanyahu. The dude took power in 1948, and no power, no one, nothing has come in and contested that power. Like they haven't even had any type of. I don't believe they've had any type of elections or like attempts to put somebody else that could lead their country into actual prosperity. Because as you can see, the country still looks like a shithole. It still looks like a third world country. They dump a bunch of money into their church stuff, the stuff for church and religion, but then they dump zero money, not a dollar, into regular people. They're civilians. You can see their country is still seemingly dirt poor, a third world country. But yet, the Israeli government, Israeli intelligence, they seem to be like some of the best of the world. Like you always hear about Israeli pilots being some of the best pilots in the sky, some of the best dogfighters there is in existence. And then everybody's deathly afraid of fucking Mossad. So again, how is a country that's seemingly on the surface a third world country so powerful in the back end? Wouldn't that back end want the front end to be as show of power as the back end? So why does that country still look like it does? Why does the country still run like it does? The country looks like it's a third world country. It still runs like a third world country, and it basically is a third world country. If you ask me, Israel is a third world country. And we're just propping it up. We're propping it up. So like I said, this is the stuff. These are the things that affect our future. foreign relations, not how much money we're sending for foreign policy, who we're propping up across the world. That's not what's going to keep all of this going. It's the relationship we have with them. We have a mutual respect with them, saying, okay, we have stuff you want, you have stuff we want. We have a mutual agreement to supply each other with those things. And what isn't covered by what we're trading is covered by money on the back end. If you can't support that, then you don't belong in it. You don't belong doing business with us if you can't support yourself. Israel can't support itself. Israel is propped up by foreign money, whether it's our money, English money, or any other nation's money. Israel can't stand on its own leg. There are very few nations that can. The United States is one. We can stand on our own legs. As a matter of fact, so much so, we're fucking doing triathlon. We're doing triathlons now. To the point where Donald Trump is dropping F-bombs on mainstream media. If you can't tell me that's a country standing on its own fucking feet, then you may as well just turn yourself into the English government and say you cyberbullied somebody. Because if their prime minister was to drop an F-bomb, that person would probably be fucking cyberbullied into a jail cell. So again, the United States should not be propping anybody up. If you can't prop yourself up and do business with us, then you don't need to be doing business with us. You don't have anything that we want. You don't have anything we need. And we shouldn't be anywhere across the fucking world. That's for goddamn sure. And the fact that some of these nations are in the shape they're in because of our fucking government is part of the problem. And those people that caused that turmoil across the world should be held accountable for it. And we all know the Clintons, the Obamas, the Bushes, damn near everybody since the 1940s. Aside from maybe JFK, because JFK didn't want us over anywhere. He didn't want our military anywhere. He was tired of it. Tired of seeing our fucking military being used as a fucking weapon for the world's agenda. Which is partly what got his ass shot. That's what got JFK killed. Wanting the world to pay its dues to us. You want to lobby our politicians? Great. You have to identify yourself as the organization you are that is lobbying our politicians. AIPAC just doesn't get to fucking free reign lobby our politicians without being registered as a fucking foreign entity. Because AIPAC is a foreign entity. I don't give a fuck about the A in their name. There is an Israeli lobbying group. That's it. They're not American. They're Israelis lobbying for Israeli policy to Americans. They just use that American bullshit as a way to say, well, no, we are American. We are American. No, you're not. You're Israeli lobbying for Israeli interests to Americans through our political pockets. And you should be registered as a foreign entity. Full stop, no ifs, ands, buts, or about it. AIPAC should be registered. And it pisses me off. It really pisses me off that these fucking companies literally do whatever they want. These politicians do whatever they want in this fucking country. The people of this country just have to sit here and take it. So no, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to tell you our government does not belong in foreign waters blowing up fucking boats that we suspect as being fucking drug traffickers. We don't belong in fucking Gaza fighting for the Israelis, with the Israelis, with the Hamas, for Hamas, against Israelis. We don't fucking belong there. And we sure as fuck don't belong in any other country fighting cartel on another country's soil. Stop them from pumping the shit into our fucking streets. Protect our people. Stop American lasting every fucking thing. Because America is last in you all's eyes. You can't lie and say that we're not. You are proving it day in and day out, day in and day out. I don't give a fuck what the ICE raids are saying. Because for every 10,000 people you motherfuckers move out, you seem to be moving in twice that. So stop. And Asman, I like you, but certain things, shut the fuck up. You have no right talking about this shit. You have no fucking clue what's actually going on in international waters. And we shouldn't be blowing up a single fucking boat without actually finding out what's on that fucking boat. And that's literally all I wanted to say. Just that. So this will probably be put up on YouTube at some point. So if you listened, thank you. If not, I wish you would. I wish more people would. Because then I wouldn't be just talking to the air. So until the next time,